Excuse me. Yes, I'm getting everything ready. Give me just a few minutes. And popping out chat. Okay. Hello and good evening. Yes, tonight is going to be a moderately brainless night. I just got back from local con. Hello, Emilio. And therefore, my brain is still kind of. And of course, here's. Oh, Carlton decided to come in when he heard me talking to the camera. Isn't that right? Look at those gold eyes. Yeah, he's a sweetie. But I'm putting you down on the floor. I'm putting you down on the floor there, buddy. Oh, go on. Go on. So, Mid South Con. Local science fiction fantasy convention. This was number 37. Now, it started 39 years ago, but they had number one, there was one year that they didn't have a con, and number two, there was one year where they lost count, and they had like I think it was Mid South Con 18 2 years in a row. Go figure. But again, being a local con, it was actually very it's more of a bunch of like 3,000 old friends getting back together, you know. So, you got the yes, brain carpoof, carpoof. Anyway, no, no, Carlton, get on down. I was coming back about 2 or 3 times a day because local con. So yeah, they did. Anyway, let me get some soda real quick. My voice probably sounds a little rough. Just the, trying to hold conversations above the usual noise level of a con is a little bit rough on your throat. No. A kitty figurine. Right. Make 3 figures. Cat folk. Two goofy ninjas that they're constantly bumbling, and one little, like, female daimyo or giving them orders. Hmm. Anyway, I say that because her name is Japanese for Pearl, and we call them the ninjas because late at night we can see her. I mean, she's bright white. She's not actually glowing like the camera is pretending she does, but she's bright white. We can see her at night. We can't see those two. Now, what I'm going to be doing today, I want to do something that's pretty much brainless, something I can be doing while getting things done, but also keeping in conversation with y'all because I'm going to have ZBrush, instead of filling the screen, smaller, and the chat, so that we can be talking about the con and things like that while I'm working on what I'm working on. I really don't buy at cons. Mostly because most of the stuff that's at a con, I can either. It, we didn't have either of our big gaming merchants present at con. One of them is understandable. He's no longer mobile. He was spent the last 5 years in a motorized wheelchair, and now he can't leave his hometown because the stress of travel is too much for him. The other, I don't know why they didn't show up. So no, I don't have anything I got at con besides a sore throat. I did meet Jolly Blackburn. If you don't know who he is, he, number one, writes and draws the Knights of the Dinner Table comic book. And number two, he's behind Alderock Entertainment Group, who created the games Seventh Sea and Legend of Five Rings, among many others. So, we actually got to discussing using a mix of 3D printed parts and Sculpey parts for making terrain pieces. He's got this gorgeous pirate ship, scaled perfectly for typical tabletop miniatures. The floor, the walls, and the masts and that were made out of Sculpey. But things like the ropes around the mast, the bowsprit with the figurehead, anchors, piles of barrels, those were all 3D printed. So he mixes and matches. Last night, one of the panels was 3D printing for fun and profit. The intent was it would have one of the co-chairs of the con and Jolly Blackburn. Jolly wasn't informed until he was already on his way to dinner. Oops. And the co-chair of the con was my brother. So he's like, "You talk to them." Go figure. Anyway, what I'm gonna do now is yep, ZBrush. Now I'm going to import, and from here I go to the Orc Horde, Sculpt Arms. Now I need to change this to view to a list. Okay. Let me see what I have finished. Okay, I've done the sword 1 and 2. And the stone sword. Okay. So now it's going to be sword 1, stone sword, stone axe. Stone axe A is the straight arm. As you can see, these arms have pegs that will fit into holes in the torso so that you can pivot them. Well, it wasn't wizard magic, but they're mostly familiar with the concepts of 3D printing. There just aren't a lot who are yet really into it. Here in Memphis, Memphis is not a really high income city. So we have people who have smaller amounts of disposable income. Okay. Now the thing about the stone axe and the stone sword arms is they represent people who are primitive. The orcs who are less uh, even more primitive than typical. The tribal, chaotic, beastie orcs. All right. Okay. Okay. Now the reason why I made it so thick. This is actually no, it's still too thick. You'll notice I turned off double so that when I simplify it, this will be rounded, more like a bar, like a ringlet around his arm. I'm going to simplify it by dynamicing it at 128. And then, under deformation, I'm going to slowly polish it, just little by little by little. Then I'm going to inflate it just a little. Okay, now geometry and divide it a couple times. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and grab the twister Wacom to make sure I'm getting where I want it to be. Shrink the mouse. Bring the focal shift to 100. Back here on the back. Oh. Okay. Hello, Mark. We are doing orcs and having conversation about cons. Now I'm going to move and transparency, so I can kind of pull this here into the arm. Okay, now, well, my brother ran the con, and it was a pretty fun, pretty quiet con. It usually is. Mid South Con is pretty much like what happens when you got a community of people who care about each other, who form the entirety of the con. Okay. And then we're going to come in. Oh. Anyway, boop. And usually at Mid South Con about 3,500. And I'm making orc arms. Now, yeah. Well, again, Mid South Con has been around for 37 years, or yeah, 37 years. No, 38 years. No, 37. However long it's been, it's got a weird situation because no, I don't think because what it did one time, one time they skipped a year because there wasn't anybody willing to run it, and another time, yes, I pulled that away. Another time they accidentally called it the same number twice. I think there were two Mid South Con 18s. No, I don't ever want to sell the miniatures I print simply because I won't be able to print enough. Okay, and now we're going to give it a a bit of a bracer. Less of a bracer and more of a wristband. Okay, good. Now, what I am thinking about doing, on the other hand, is getting a table at Artist Alley. What that means is I would have a table, I would have a laptop set up, and okay. Anyway, I'd have a laptop set up with my monitor on the table facing out, so that they could see it, and then I would sculpt miniatures for them there. Okay, correct. Oh, I need Orcreps too. Actually, no, I need the Soon 16. And let's see, which direction do I need to go? No, I need to. First of all, I need to be bigger mouse and a bit more intense. That's too. Here we go. Now, one thing that's interesting is there is a local group called Cause Cause, Cause, not COS, that does cosplay for charity. And what they usually do is they have a table on Artist Alley for cosplay repair. And this year, they had almost nobody needing their services because nobody had. Oh, wrong way. Because nobody had problems with their costume. No major mishaps. The only major mishap we had all weekend, one of the cosplayers went into labor 3 weeks early. So yeah, they weren't happy. I think I was talking to security, and apparently the only major incidents this year were children who got away from their parents. There we go. That's a nice tribal axie arm. And all we're going to do is just simply start collapsing it all together. And and popping over zero measure, decimation master, 20,000 for the arm. Okay. And there is Axe 01A. Oh, that's awesome. As I am a huge fan of adopting animals, go figure. All right. Right arm stone axe A. Save. That is the arm for the first arm for the stone axe. And now it's going to be stone axe B. The B arms are half bent. Oh no, my kitties love dogs too. Now on this one, I don't think I'm going to give him anything on his upper arm. I'm going to just give him a moderately fancy bracer. So let's draw there. And then there. Okay. No, there's not a lot done on these guys. Number one, I've already got the hands pre-tweaked. Alright. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm first going to go to this one. Oh, that reminds me, I've got to make sure that, yeah, I got to undo masking there. Okay. Now, I'll make this bigger and a good bit. No. There we go. Got the interior out. So I can now turn off transparency. Adopting adult animals, you have to be aware that it's also very likely, maybe not 100%, but very often, there will be adult animals for adoption that have issues, and you've got to be aware of that, and you've got to be prepared and willing to handle those issues. You know what I mean? All right, let's see. It's going to be up to there, there. Oh, no, I'll come back to that. Couple bones on this thing. Then I'm going to make it a little bit bigger and a lot weaker. I'm going to inflate there and there, 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 and there, and then there, and there, there, and there. So we got the bones. Now we're going to make straps on these bones. The way we're going to do that, we're going to start off just, well, actually we need to go ahead and subdivide it a little. That's a trick question because I'll never have that many. But honestly, I would rather have more patrons than more money because that's people that are learning how to do this. Admittedly, that also means that I would never be done with my weekend sculpts. So yeah. Alright, masking, and we're going to make this grow, 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 sharpen, sharpen, sharpen. Grow, 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 sharpen, sharpen, sharpen. Alright. Now I'm going to shrink this mouse again a little bit more. And erase there, erase there, erase there. Okay. Now, and we're going to extract this at 0.01. Extract, accept, draw, draw. Oh. And then we're going to go to layer. Make sure we get the laser mouse turned off. Get that size jumped up to about there. And intensity up to about there. And drag that. So that's Okay, there. And that's pretty good for our tribal orcs, or savage orcs as they were called in Warhammer. So, going back to Subtool, and we're going to collapse them all. And Dynamesh. Now, 20k polys, or 20k points. Okay. Now, actually, I am going to have to take a brief pause because I've got to do something real quick. I'll be right back. Okay. Yes, I'm in a different shirt now. It's getting really warm in here, and that sweatshirt was getting really kind of sweaty. I know. So, I think that was the first time I ever actually had it successfully. Okay, so this is now down to 40,000 triangles. Export our stone axe B. The A's are all straight, the B's are all bent. Okay, so now the next one is going to be, after the stone axe, we have the spears, then the mahuatls, and the regular axes. Okay, so spear A. This is the initial spear. Now, one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to make a light and a heavy version of this arm. Alright? And everyone suddenly got quiet, so yeah, I still got watchers. Now, the way I'm handling this is import heavy A. This is the armor for a heavy arm. As you can see, it includes, yeah, And see, it includes the elbow thing. And one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on little bits on the back of the hand. So we're going to go back, we're going to close this. And from here, I think lurkers, not stalkers, TJ. We're going to make it a little bit bigger. And, oh, no, a little bit bigger. It's like a little face on the back of the hand. And then we're going to go ahead and also, that's good enough. We're going to go to the Cracks 1 brush and kind of make it a little bit bigger and just draw on some damaged areas. Just bits and areas to show that, it may be looking, count as heavy armor, plate armor, whatever, but the orcs themselves are pretty rough and tumble with their kit. Okay. It's very, very quick now that I've got the basics down and all that. So merge down, geometry, Dynamesh, and 20K. Oh. So what did you think of my answer to Largashbur's trick question? Okay, export, finished. This is spear, not sword. Spear heavy A. No, a 1. 1A, because this is one of 2 spears. Save. Now I import that same spear 1A again. Notice, oh wait, that's that's, oops. I need to change that. That was spear heavy 2A. So, spear 2A. There we go. Yes, the other spear is a short sword tied to a stick. Okay. Now what we're going to do, I have a pre-made sleeve. And then append, import right bracer A. Just because it's a lot easier. Now what we're going to do with this one, once again we're using that seam. There we go. And now, let's see, what are we going to put on this guy's bracer? This is just your average schmuck with a spear. Also, real quick while I'm thinking about it, just to kind of emphasize those, yeah. Anyway, back to the bracer. Any suggestions on what to have on the back of the bracer for this spear arm? Keeping in mind this will likely be the most common arm used in an entire batch of orc boys. Actually, I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to come to that side. Actually, okay. Now, I am now going to draw on an orky skull, which means a bow tie, a circle, and a little bit of a circle. Oh, actually, that's too close. Yeah, like that. And then the top part of an egg. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on just a second. Sorry there, it was a minor emergency. Anyway, and then let me make sure I got the Wacom in the right direction. And then I draw on where the teeth are going to be. Shrink the mouse even more and sharpen the teeth. Okay, and then I'm just going to, oh, nostril. And a little bit more eye socket. Orky skull. And 0.015. Extract, accept, draw, draw. Ralph? No! Go! Do not ever jump on the tablet, Ralph. Okay. Okay, oh, I see a problem. All I need to do is I need to go to masking and shrink mask, sharpen, because that was connected at some parts. There we go. Now, under deformation, I'm going to polish it. 1, 2, 3. Just to make it kind of rounded. And under geometry, subdivide it. There we go. That's the bracer for this spear guy. Now we merge everything. And Dynamesh at 768. It's a very orky style skull with a small brain pan, heavy brows, and big old teethies. So now, once again, we decimate down to 40,000 triangles. And export as spear light 2A. Okay. And notice it's got nice little all that. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to 2B, or not 2B, which if you remember, the B's are bent armed. And once again, we're going to append subtool, and I've got, where is it? Right, heavy B, complete with the bent elbow piece there. Now this one I'm going to do something different with it. Let's see, do I have... import? No, I do not have trim for A, so we're going to delete that. Alright, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to subdivide it a couple, so that, yeah, delete lower. Okay. Frame out, and just enough to get the whole thing in there. Now on the back of the hand this time, I'm going to use the layer brush again, make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to start putting rivets all over the armor on this one. So like, oh, I need to make it a little bit stronger. And there we go. There, one here, one here, one here. Then all around the wrist. And here. And then we're going to put some around up here, but only on the outside of the arm because we don't want to take the risk on it going and causing problems when you pose the arms together. And then here, we're going to make it even bigger. Right there. That actually might be too big, too tall. That's another thing with the layer brush, the larger the brush, the more intense the effect. Okay. This is our heavy armor for Spear 1B. studded steel. Now, I will confess one thing. Except for the spears, the bow arms, and the dedicated shield arms, all of the right arms are going to be mirrored to the left. So that stone axe, regular axe, right arm, going to mirror to have the left equivalent. Alright, so dynamesh it and decimate it to 20K. And now we export. This is Spear Heavy 2B. Okay, so now we go back in and we import right arm spear 2B again. We append polymesh and load in the sleeve. And once again, we there, get those in. Okay. And then append polymesh 3D, import right bracer B. So now we kind of come up with what we're going to put on this bracer. Well, first what we're going to do is we're going to subdivide it a little. And we're going to put in the seam. This one we're going to make a little bit neater. And oh, not big enough. There we go. Actually, that's what we'll do. This one is just sewn bits and pieces together. No, no, no. For that, we do need to be using the other one. Yeah. Okay, there we go. That's this guy's bracer. All sewn together in bits. You see how simple it can be if you've got the proper tools. And now we're going to merge it all down and dynamesh it. Then process it to 20,000. And this is going to be light 2B. So now we're going to go ahead and import Spear 1A, which is a sword tied to a spear. What do you think? How's that for an orky spear? A short sword tied to a stick. Anyway, we're going to load in the heavy armor. And we're also going to load in the trim. I also made some trim, unfortunately only for the straight arm. Okay. Now, on this, we're going to go ahead and make it ridged. And by that, I mean, well, actually, let's do it this way. Inflate, subtract. Let's make it there. We're going to make this rippled like huh? Reason for this is it's a style of armor where the metal is rippled like a corrugated tin roof, and that actually adds strength to the armor. However, we're not going to put it there. We're going to go ahead and just here, 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 or all right. Now we're going to use the slash tool at add down to about 9. Turn off lazy mouse, and we're going to draw down the tops of these ridges to make it sharper. We want the armors to look vaguely similar, thus they all have the same basic bracer, vambrace, and elbow pad shape, but different enough that they give some variety to the overall collection. Okay. There we go. Now let's merge them all down. And Dynamesh. It has been 1 hour. 1 hour. And how many arms have I made? Let's see. View details. Sort by date. On today, I've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is number 7. 7 that I've made so far today. This is heavy 1A. Save.
import Spear 1A, and then append polymesh, import sleeve, append polymesh, import bracer. Oh, oops. One thing to note when you're importing things, make sure you're selecting the correct subtool. You can see it change from white to gray, or if you're using the default material, from bright pink to dull red. Alright, now import bracer A. Okay, one thing I got to do real quick, you've seen me do this before, using the inflate tool on subtract to kind of bring this so we can see the wrinkles better. Okay, now on the bracer, we have another bracer for this spear. Okay, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do something similar to what I did to the previous heavy. I'm going to give it a big seam. Oh, no. And then go to the layer brush, shrink it down, bring it up to about 83 will do. Add on some rivets. Oh, too big. Way too big. Too small. There we go. And I'm also going to add a row of rivets down the back. Okay, and then okay. And now just to make them interesting, we're going to shrink the mouse a little bit. We're going to double up on these. Okay. Make them taller and thinner. Okay. And we have our somewhat spiky studded bracer on this thing. Whee! So, we now go ahead and merge down. Geometry, Dynamesh, and decimate. And there we go. That is Spear Light 1A. Okay, we're almost done with the spears, and then we get to do the axes. Yeah. Okay, so import. We have 1A done for heavy and light, so now it's time for 1B. So spear 1B, and we append the heavy armor. once I get it done, it's still, as you can see, it is still very definitely work in progress. Very definitely work in progress. Okay, this armor. One thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make it look hammered, and I don't mean drunk. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead, make sure. Okay, 146,000 subdivide there, 2 million. That should do it. We go to Lightbox, Brush, Mallet, and we're going to Mallet Fast 2. Gonna make this mouse a bit bigger, and then just kind of no. We're gonna change the change that out for that one. To give it a kind of a cast iron look. Because, see, not every orc can afford the same armor, and they kind of tend to grab their armor from wherever they get it. And this might be some orc smith's attempt at replicating the human styles that the others have. So once we've done this, we're now going to switch to seam 16. And we're going to put seams in awkward places. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make big old seams in awkward places. Okay. Frame out. And here we have the kind of a beat up armor look. This would probably be really great with yeah, something like this. This is a rust wash from Vallejo, which is for, it's in their Mecha color line, but it's a nice reddish brown wash, like golden color almost, but it really looks good over metal as a rust, almost usable more as a glaze than as a wash. Okay, and we're going to merge that down. We're going to export this as heavy 1B. Save. Oh wait, I'm an idiot. I forgot to dynamesh it, and I forgot to decimate it. Okay, so geometry, dynamesh, and then decimate to 20. One thing I'm going to include with the horde is a chart of all the pieces. All of them. Okay. Alright, excellent. And now we're going to export heavy 1B. Then we're going to re-import one spear 1B. So this is going to be the light 1B. Okay. Now append. Okay. Now, you've seen what I've been doing with this. Do you have any suggestions of the bracer for spear 2B? Light 2B. If you don't think of something in about, just a little bit, any ideas, then I already have an idea I can use. But I just wanted to give you all some little suggestions and interaction with the concept. Bum 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 ba bum 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 bum. Okay, what I'm gonna do, go ahead and transparent, come from top. And go back to inflate. I'm going to make rings on this one. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, one of the things about the Memphis gaming community, it's probably one of the safest gaming communities that I'm aware of. And by that I mean there are places I have read about where a lot of female gamers feel very uncomfortable gaming simply because the community they're in is very um yeah. Anyway, but apparently Memphis has gotten a reputation, hopefully well deserved, for being very inclusive. Okay, now we go to geometry, and we're just going to subdivide it a little bit. And here we have rings on the bracer instead of studs. Merge down, down, down. And we subdivide Dynamesh. And decimate to 20. And that is that spear. Spear Light 1B. Okay. Now, next arm up after the spears is the Mahuatl. Mahuatl A. Okay, now one thing we're going to do with the Mahuatls is we're actually going to give them some decoration here. We're not going to mess with the chip parts because last time I tried I screwed them up. But we're going to use the Orb Cracks brush to draw in little crude pictographs. And then coming out like that. I'm going to kind of just scribble this out and smooth it. And then there we go. Then we're going to just kind of bring it over there and there. And then we're going to put in this like a little snake. On this side, we're not going to put in the face. Instead, we're going to put in a fist. And once again, our little snake. Okay. Well, let's give it a little bit of connectivity there. That's our Mahuatl. Now, being as the Mahuatl is a primitive weapon, we're not going to give it the heavy armor, light armor bit. We're only going to have primitive things. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this one, now let's have rings down the entire arm. And we're going to do this No, I want it to start here because I want to have room. Then I'm going to tilt it this way so I can do the forearm rings. And oh God, my mother's watching Bar Rescue. Lord knows why. And I'm hearing this guy blubbering because he's got the mindset of a daggum 10-year-old. Okay. Now, we're going to extract those at 0.01. Except draw and draw. Now we're going to go to the geometry and Dynamesh at 120. Oh, not 128. At 512. And we're going to polish it 34 times. No, we're going to polish it 100 times. Nope. Okay. That'll do. Now we're going to deform 100%, polish. Then we're going to inflate, make them rings. Now geometry, divide, 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 delete lower. Now we're going to deflate it just a little because we kind of need to. Inflate. There we go. To make them rings. And that's good enough for now. I didn't go bye-bye again, did I? No, because it's showing the... Yeah. Alright, so subtool. We're going to merge the arm into the rings. And Dynamesh it. Then decimate to 20K. And export as orc sword right arm, orc horde right arm, Maquatl. Now you notice the file naming that I'm using, the naming conventions. I'm doing that deliberately so even if you don't look at the uh, chart, you can tell, okay, that's an arm using a Maquatl. That's an arm using a spear. And it's got heavy armor. Okay? So that way you know what you're getting even if you're not looking at the chart. Okay, now this one. We're going to put writing on this one. Let's call it just... let's make it a little bit bigger and a little bit deeper. There. Just some interesting little squiglet writing type sigils. And I'm going to, this time instead of having rings or bangles, I'm actually going to make rope. No. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, this is not the Orc Horde. This is the Green Tide. Yeah, this is the Green Tide, not the Orc Horde. And we're going to extract this out. Split unmasked parts. Then click one time to get that to go away. And then we're going to draw on just kind of a there. Split unmasked parts. Tap. Split unmasked parts. Tap. Turn off transparency. Actually, turn it back on. Because now we're going to use the knot. Just kind of messing this around so it looks more like a nastily tied knot. Frame out and extract and split unmasked parts. And we're going to merge them all together. And Dynamesh. Then 20K. What are you doing? And export this. Muckwaddle B. Okay. Now let's import the next arm, which is one of the axes. Let me. Oh! Actually, we're going to pull in one of the bow arms. The right bow arm. This one is the arm that is drawing the bow. When loaded in, it's like this. Now this one, I can't use any of the pre-made pieces. It's unique. But by the same token, I can make it unique. Let's give it a bracer, because bowmen have bracers to protect their forearms. There's one reason why I do not Largice, and that's that most of what I do could not have been printed back then. You did not see FDM printers producing the kind of prints that you see now with like the Ender 3 and that 3 years ago, let alone 5, 6, 7 years ago. And resin printers were for the rich. You didn't have the Photon and the Wanhao D7. So I mean, you were limited in what you could do, let alone you know what the people who were downloading your files could do. No, I won't say a year ago, Mark. Number one, it's March. In April, I've been doing this a year. And on top of that, I actually have figures that I printed a year ago. Where it is? Yeah. This was printed on my CR10 a year and a half ago. Okay? So, let me. A year and a half ago, I made this. Let me pull up my. Turn off autofocus and zoom in. 1 year ago on a CR10. Or a year and a half ago, rather. You can see that first layer, those first layer circles. Yes, the selection is exponentially greater. Um, Miguel Savela is an amazing man, but most of his early work is very low polygon. You don't get as much detail from it as with a lot of the current projects. Duncan Luca, good God, his stuff just obliterates my brain. No, let's make that 0.03. Accept. Draw. Now, what to do with this? Okay, that's the size on it. Okay, that's one more level division. Delete lower. Yep. And again, it was possible back then. The problem is that it wasn't common, and most people didn't understand how to tune their machines that fine. Okay, now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go ahead and first let's give it a seam on the upper arm, because if we put it on the inside of the forearm, no one's ever going to see it. Yeah, and we're also going to give it down here. And then there, and from here. There we go. But I mean, people try to tell me that I'm uh, wasting my time doing this until they find out that I'm paying my bills doing this. you know? And then I go places like Cannes this weekend, and that's where I get all the people who are like, I wish I could do that. Oh no. Let's remove that. Let's just zoom out. Okay. It's good. I don't know. In 2017, I saw a lot of Skyrim dragons ripped and fixed and put up on Thingiverse, especially Alduin. 50, 50, 60 Alduins on Thingiverse. And don't forget, oh, that's true, but don't forget, this was on Thingiverse in 2017. My Wyvern. Oh, and so was this, my hunting drake. I will admit I am probably much better at critters than I am at people characters. I just enjoy sculpting people characters better. Go figure. Anyway, oh, let me move that and done a mesh. There we go. And 20k. Yeah, there's a ton of people making critters. It's just they're all making the same critters, the ones that are the most interesting to sculpt, like the Beholder, the Boule, dragons, and then of course all sorts of humanoids. Uh, Recently, I saw someone who did a Behir, and I'm thinking, okay, that's the first time I've seen a Behir miniature, other than one set that came out 10 years ago. Now, for those who don't know, don't play D&D, a Behir is a 10-legged serpent-like dragon thing that breathes lightning. No wings. Yeah, it goes in waves, yeah. I mean, when what I find funny is that when Lost Dragons was released, calling this bow draw A. That would be usable for light or tribal. And actually, considering it's 20 till, I'm going to go ahead and just go back to here. and that way it's just me. And put this up. What I was going to say was when Lost Dragons got released, we didn't see any dragons released for a while. People didn't want to try to step in front of the behemoth freight train that was Lost Dragons. Like, I got a dragon too. Black Omen does what he feels like doing. He does it well, but it's just like, I mean, I've done the same thing. I've just decided I think I'll do a frog-like alien in a science fiction uniform. Oh wait, that was like Thursday, wasn't it? Yeah, that was me. Yeah. But think how many mimics, beholders, you know, all these things that are unique shaped. That there's a standardized style or a standardized shape, but an infinite number of potential styles. And hello, Ralph. What are you doing? What are you doing, Ralph? Bum. What are you doing, little buddy? Get my glasses so I can lean back and still read the screen. Empty hands. And he acts like I've got a treat in them. Is that what's going on? Do you think I have treats? Is that why you're going after my hands? No. Do you mind? Can I put you down on the floor? Can I put you down on the floor? No, apparently not. He doesn't want to go down on the floor. He wants to nuzzle my finger. Yeah. You are an insane fussbutt. What are you doing? What are you doing? What? You are a crazy fuzzball. You know that? No. No. Alright, go down. Good boy. Anyway, every time I do something like that, I get the stink eye from my mother. The fact that they do it, I tell them to. Even though half the time it's me reading what they're about to do in their body language and their expression and telling them, do that, and they do it. The other half of the time, they actually listen to me and obey me. They're smarter than they look. Straighten up, little fuzz butts. Towel. Anyway, So the plan for the orcs is that almost all of those arms I sculpted tonight, or refined, I should say, are going to be mirrored for the opposite arm, for the left arm. The spears are not. The bow arm is not. The bow arm is going to have, there's bow out, drawn, and bow down and kind of turned. There's also going to be a bow arm up here and a bow arm just kind of holding an arrow here. Oh, it's entirely possible you could have somebody in an orc champion with a bow down and a sword here or here. But yeah, like I said, I got the chance to talk to Jolly Blackburn this weekend. It was interesting. There was a few people that showed up for that 3D printing and gaming panel. Not a lot, but a few. And when I woke up this morning, my voice sounded like this. And trust me, when my voice sounds like this. Anyway, yeah, see, apparently, if I overuse my voice, my throat decides, oh, we need to protect the throat. Mucus! And my voice comes down to this. But through talking some more, paradoxically, it drains away. Well, again, you figure this was a 3,000, 3,500 person con, and that's actually being kind of generous. And most of the people that are already into 3D printing are already into 3D printing. It's people aren't yet a lot of people aren't yet aware of products like the Ender 2 or the Anycubic Photon. And well, they're just they're still thinking of, oh yeah, 3D printers. They're like $2,000, aren't they? No, no, they're not. Not anymore. So my current plans for upcoming shows. Tuesday. Tuesday is still up in the air. Thursday I might do some work on the boars, the writing boars. Yes, it would, Mark, but only to an extent. Go figure. Oh, go figure. What do you know, huh? The reason I say that is because, for example, we have in Memphis, about 12 miles to the southeast of me, is the North American Production Hub. 150,000 square feet of miniatures being molded, stamped, and produced for distribution throughout North America. And it's got a battle bunker in the front. And if you tried to use a 3D printed proxy for 40K, for Age of Sigmar, for what do they call it? Forgotten Games days. No way. Hi, Kim. Hello. But on the other hand, if you're playing 40K or Fantasy or Sigmar or Man of War or Mighty Empires at home or at your local store with just a group of friends, then yeah, 3D printer's great for that. You never did say how that con went, Kim. Or has it not happened yet? How many people? At the con as a whole. How big was the con? Because I just got back from one that, like I said, was about 3,500. 3,000 to 3,500. Shinju. Hey, Buzzbutt. Over here. Nope. Stop getting into trouble. You hear me? Come on. Get on your bed. Get on your bed. Good girl. Ah. So this was Mid South Con. Like I said, about 3,500 people. Gary Con. Gary Con has a problem. A big problem from my point of view. Only about a quarter of the con is handicap accessible. And since my mother was in a wheelchair, and she's now can't even get in a wheelchair anymore, and a good friend of mine, one of my favorite game masters, is in a motorized wheelchair, they could not go to most of the places they needed to be. The ramp for some of the buildings is not a ramp. It's boards put on a standard staircase that is impossible to move up. Yeah, I saw the pictures. I still say you should have shown your pictures to Joe Manganiello. Okay, they moved locations because the place it was at before was a really, really snooty. Really, it's like they'll pay the fines for not being under code and see it as pocket change to keep the rustic look of the place. I say, yeah, really, indeed. Well, it's like the art show last year, the place it was at. My friend had to be escorted by a staff of the hotel or resort or whatever to the staff elevator to go down because there was no other way to get there. So anyway, one thing I like about smaller cons, they're quieter in terms of you don't have troublemakers. In the past 10 years, well, all right, let's put it this way. The year I went to Dragon Con, there were 40,000 people. In the past 12 years, 40,000 people have been through Mid South Con. In that one Dragon Con I was at, almost 2% of the people at Dragon Con got kicked out for causing trouble, for fighting, for violence, for assault, for whatever. 2%. That means, let's see, 400, 800 people were kicked out at one con with 40,000 people. At 12 cons with 40,000 people in Memphis, we've had maybe 20. And nobody this year. It's it's like the con, there's a lot of regulars. Oh no, there were people kicked out of Gary Con. You don't hear about it, you don't see it, but there are people who are kicked out for there are people who will get drunk and get into fights late at night. There are people who will go up behind cosplayers and grope them and get kicked out. It happens. They try to keep it quiet because if people hear about these incidents, they won't want to come back. And here's Ralph again. Hey Ralph, say hi to Kim. Say hi. Yep, say hi. There's a local con called Anime Blues Con because Memphis is home of the blues. Its unofficial nickname is Anime Booze Con. Are you gonna behave yourself this time? You gonna behave yourself? Hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We had one pair of cosplayers this year. When they walked out on stage, most of the adults lost their minds. Most of the kids lost their minds. The 20 somethings tended to be like, who's that? Turns out what they were Granny and Sylvester, and Granny was carrying Tweety Bird in a cage. Yes, he's purring up a storm, aren't you? Whoosh. The winner of our costume contest this year, they call it a masquerade instead of cosplay because it's been called a masquerade for 37 years. And the word cosplay didn't even exist until the 21st century. Oh. Okay. It decided to cut out on me. That wasn't fun. Anyway, they've been calling cosplay has only been a word since the 21st century. So they decided just to keep calling it the masquerade. But the winner this year was dressed as King Aragorn. So he even handmade his own version of Anduril Flame of the West because number one, the official replicas nowadays are getting extremely expensive because they're not in as much demand since the movies were 20 years ago. And number two, because most cons don't allow steel weapons. But he based it on the way that Anduril was designed in the movies. Now, can I put you down on the floor now? Hmm? Can I put you down on the floor now? Yeah? Is that yes? Okay. Go on. Go on down. Oh, he says no. I'm not getting down. You little crazy fuzz. Yeah, you're crazy. You're crazy. Mm-hmm. Look at that. It's like I got his head on a string. Oh, that's good. That's cool. Like I was saying earlier, I got to meet Jolly Blackburn, who's behind the comic book Knights of the Dinner Table and the games Legend of Five Rings and Seventh Sea. Aldrak Entertainment Group is his company. Hey, baby girl. Anyway, yeah. Have you ever seen his pirate ships? He uses Sculpey to make the walls and the decks, and then uses 3D printing to make like the bowsprit and figurehead, the ropes around the masts on the rigging, and things like that. All the details. He uses a Prusa Mark III. Anyway, do you want to know what you missed on the show tonight, Kim? Do you really want to know? Just a second here. You missed me making 13 arms for the orcs. My orc horde. 13 right arms with a stone axe, two different spears, maquatl, uh, that sort of thing. And of course, the show was started by Carlton going. Now it is 10 o'clock. I'm probably talked far too much for my voice to be able to deal with. Tomorrow morning, I'll be talking like this again. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it good night. And of course, because it is a good night, then I'll be able to just get everything ready and go to bed. Yay! No, Ralph. No. No. So I'm gonna do my usual hold up left hand, count from 5 to 1, get to one, say something goofy, and go and log out. So I guess what I'm gonna say is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If the community in your area for gaming is not inclusive, there's a problem. Good night.